So thank you everyone for joining us, whether you're joining us on the Zoom webinar or you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Welcome. And we're super excited. We've been doing these webinars for a few weeks now. And so kind of some background on that. It's COVID-19. Everyone's in some sort of a lockdown, no matter where you are in the world. And so David and I wanted kind of a way to give back and provide some free value, particularly focused on web designers, those that are trying to navigate what it looks like to offer web design services during a global pandemic. And so so we've done a few different webinars already. Definitely watch the replay. Reach out to us if you want access to that replay. And so the goal is for this to be about 15 minutes. However, we aren't always on time and it ends up going to about 30 minutes. And so if that's the case, great. If you have to skip out early, then you can always get access to the replay too. David,
I do want to say, I want to add one more thing, that if you're watching this live on Facebook or YouTube or any of the multiple channels that we're streaming to currently, and you're asking questions there, we're not seeing those questions. So we apologize. We're live streaming to, I think, approximately 5 to 7 pages. Tim and my businesses, outside of WP Gears, Divi Life, Divi Space, Aspen Grove Studios, YouTube, Facebook, if you can imagine, multiply those exponentially. We're streaming to all of those places so we can get this out to as many people as possible. But I do want to say, if you're messaging us anywhere other than in the Zoom chat, we're not seeing it. So we're not ignoring you. We're glad you're here and we're glad you're participating, and we will go back and answer those questions after we get off the live call. But don't think we're ignoring you. We just can't see all of the feeds at the same time currently.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, David. Thanks for sharing that. So, let's go ahead and get started here. So the topic for today's training is going above and beyond and becoming your client's marketing consultant. So again, we focus these webinars to web designers trying to navigate what it looks like to still get clients and still provide value during a global pandemic. And one thing I do want to say is it's been encouraging to see that web designers still have work out there. Kind of everyone's first instinct is that, like, oh, there's no more work for web designers because businesses are, they're cutting as much expenses as they can. They're closing down, they're doing this, doing that. But for what we've seen in our own businesses, as well as our students from our Divi Business Expert course, is a lot of web designers still have business because there's companies out there that are trying to adapt. And they're also, things that they've been putting off, such as a new website or a new marketing channel or, a new product launch or whatever. Now they have the time. And so we've seen in our own businesses that web designers still very much have work, but it's different and it's tricky. And so that's kind of the purpose of these webinars. So going above and beyond and becoming your client's marketing consultant, what does that mean? So something that David and I preach a lot on Divi Chat, on our podcast, within our Divi Business Expert course, is when it comes to providing value for your web design clients, you can't just be focused on delivering a pretty website. And so something that we teach thoroughly in our course is how to basically not focus on design and features, but instead focus on achieving your clients' goals, whether that's leads, whether that's
money,
selling products. Yeah, money. Exactly. Thank you, David. And so that's kind of the basis of this topic is don't just be about building something that looks good. And even taking a step further, don't just be about the website itself, but how are you going to actually help your clients during this time? And so we think a way to do that is to become your client's marketing consultant. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have some very basic notes just to kind of give you something to look at here. David, anything you want to add to kind of setting up that topic while I get this rolling?
Yeah, I think I'm going to add, I had a very interesting conversation, a good conversation with a good friend of mine, Jill Sessa, who's also a WordPress developer, this morning. And Tim mentioned that, web designers, a lot of web designers right now are, you know, experiencing growth even in this pandemic and stuff. And that was definitely Jill's case as well in her message to me this morning. And I hope she doesn't mind. I don't think she will, me sharing her experience and stuff. Um, is that she says that her business is it's quadrupled. So in the last 6 weeks since all of this pandemic stuff has started and whatnot, her business has quadrupled. I mean, wow. Which totally makes sense to me. I mean, businesses are they're struggling right now. A lot of them are closed completely. They're not making any revenue, and they're not doing well. So they're desperately looking and seeking to find ways to improve that. So, you know, become your client's marketing consultant. And that doesn't mean go out to your clients and try to charge them for something right now. It's going to come back to you tenfold, if you just go trying to be helpful and stuff. And I'm going to share a quick example of is it too early to share the coffee shop example, Tim, or can I dive right into that?
It's up to you. Yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Yeah, yeah. So it was first on our list. I just didn't know. I know you've got Y there, so I don't want to mess up your Tim's driving today. So
Yeah, why don't we wait? We'll do the
yeah,
why. We'll come back to the examples.
that's why I
Um,
asked. Perfect.
yeah, no, that and I'm excited for David to share that example. So let this be a little teaser because it's a perfect example of kind of what we're talking about here. But yeah, so we kind of set up the topic going above and beyond and becoming your client's marketing consultant. And we kind of touched on this a little bit. So the first reason is of why you would want to do that. Well, first of all, stand out from your competitors that simply want to build them a new website. So for the companies out there that are looking to finally get that new website that they've been procrastinating on, and they're looking at different web design. Well, if they're looking at someone who is going to just build them a pretty website, and then you're coming along and you're basically talking about some ideas and things that you can help them implement. We'll talk about some more examples. Then you're going to stand out from the competitor because they're going to look at person A and then you, and it's going to be a clear choice, even if you're charging more, because you're actually going to go and help them grow their business and increase revenue during a global pandemic. And so that's a huge one, pretty obvious, but help you stand out from your competitors.
Yeah, and this is this kind of actually segues nicely into that coffee shop example, Tim. I
Yeah.
think I'll throw it in here because we do have it broken up into whys and then some examples, but this is a perfect example. This is not a client of mine, okay? I'm going to throw that out there right in the beginning and be transparent. This is not a client of mine. My favorite coffee shop here in Ashland, Oregon is Rogue Valley Coffee Company. And I just absolutely love their Mexican mochas. And I want to support small businesses that are trying to stay in business. Well, they completely shut their doors for a few weeks, didn't even offer curbside service. And what ended up happening, he tried to keep his doors open initially, and he kept his staff on the payroll, and then it was just eating up his reserves, his funds. He couldn't keep it open. So he decided to close the business completely, in an effort to not go bankrupt basically for his business. Well, more weeks passed. He needed to open up his doors to try to generate some kind of revenue because they were really struggling. And I mean, he's just an honest, transparent guy, even with a stranger who comes into his coffee shop, on a regular basis. I don't know him personally. I mean, I knew who he was. I knew he was the owner and stuff, but and he was just transparent. He's like, look, I've got to generate revenue. I have a family to feed. I have bills to pay and stuff. And so I drove in there to support them. So he opened back up for curbside service only. And I found out about this. So I decided to go and support him. Well, he was the one who was working the counter that morning whenever I placed my order for curbside pickup. And he came outside and we got to chat for a few minutes. And he was telling me about all the things that I just shared with you and stuff. And I commented to him about his website because obviously he had a website. He's got a great URL, ashlandcoffee.com. That's the name of the town. I mean, come on, it's an awesome URL.
Brilliant.
I commented on that. I also told him that, his button placement on mobile for curbside service was great, that he had added that to his site and stuff, and it was fantastic. And he was telling me about his struggles. And I said, well, do you do any user acquisition? Do you collect email addresses for customers like me that come into your coffee shop all the time because we love your coffee? And he's like, well, no, I don't. I don't do that. He said, but I did find out that Square, who is his payment processor, has like 2,800 users in there that he could email to. And I started just giving him tips about email marketing and, talking about user acquisition, because he can't take those email addresses or those customers out of Square's system. He has to email them from within their system, which is he's still a captive hostage of Square, which is we preach all the time. Small businesses need to own their platform. Shopify is great. Square is great. All these things are awesome. But guess what? At the end of the day, they own your customers. They own your traffic. They own it, not you. That's why WordPress and your site's so important to have your own. So in explaining all of this stuff to him, I mean, he was like, do you have a card? I need your contact information, and he has called to me already wanting to hire my company to help transition his business. And he has two existing websites. He has another product that he wanted to market that he called 8-Bit Coffee. That's for gamers that he's just had a terrible time getting off the ground with. But because I decided to be helpful as opposed to pitch him, hey, I'm a web designer, I can help you out, I didn't. I just dove into immediately giving him free advice on what he can do to help, you know, do a better job to kind of transition in this time and stuff. And I'll tell you right now, he could not get my card fast enough and couldn't call me quick enough to want to hire me to help with his business in this transition and stuff. So, and that was just from talking to him, just being genuine, authentic, and allowing it to organically just kind of flow. And honestly, that's how probably 90% of my client services businesses has always gone. I've always gone in with a mode, with an intent of being helpful, as opposed to an intent of making money and getting a potential client. And because I've gone in with the intent of being helpful and I'm sharing knowledge freely, it's in turn given me the very thing that I want and need, which is, revenue to support my family and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it was just a huge, great example of like, how you can become a marketing consultant, for these businesses and stuff, and then either get more business from them in the long run or get new business.
Yeah. No, I love that example, David, with the user acquisition and recommending that. And actually, the coffee shop, a few weeks ago on the first webinar we did, I shared an example of a coffee shop that I'm a regular at. And David's story reminded me of that business. And they do have user acquisition, and they do a lot of things right. And I am on their email list, and I saw it in action when they also closed down and were only doing delivery, and then just recently opened back up. And because I was on their email list, I was able to be notified and know that, hey, this is awesome. I can go and order ahead and then go do curbside pickup and all that. And so that's a perfect example of how, like, something simple like that, it seems simple to us, or as web
Yeah.
people, as technically inclined individuals, but to a small business owner that owns a coffee shop, like, they don't know anything about email marketing. They don't know anything about user acquisition and that sort of thing. And so that's exactly what we're talking about here, providing that extra value opposed to just being your client's web person. And so so that brings us to the next point under the why section, of why you should go above and beyond for your clients and become the marketing consultant. And let me just get the font bigger here so you can actually read it. But newsflash, pretty websites and fancy features don't increase your client's revenue. And so that's something that David and I talk about a lot. And as web designers, it can almost be a little bit of uh, a hit to our ego, because we love designing pretty websites. We love adding really cool features. But at the end of the day, your clients' customers aren't going to be impressed by that. Like, the internet's been around a long time. The websites have progressed a lot. No one goes to a website and sees some really cool scrolling parallax effect and then wants to hire or go to that company's business because of it. No one gets impressed by that. And so having websites that are actually designed to convert and build user acquisition, like the example we just shared, that's what's going to actually help your client. And so just going to kind of go through these additional why statements before we share some more examples. So another why statement, this one's pretty obvious, but of why you should go above and beyond. Well, it's going to make yourself more valuable, which means you're going to get more project and hire rates. If you're able to actually help your clients increase revenue and actually set them up from a marketing standpoint, opposed to just a online present standpoint, well, you're going to get more referrals from that, and you're going to be able to charge higher rates because of it, because you just made yourself so much more valuable than the person down the street in your town that is just building a WordPress website for them. And then last but not least point here, before we share some more examples. Oh, go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive off into the whys before we share examples too, but I'm gonna let you do the last one there.
Yeah. So last one is you're going to help your clients actually grow their business, opposed to just looking prettier online. I don't know about you, but when I first started out, when I was building websites for clients, and I like spent all this time making it look amazing, and I launched it, and then it was like almost a feeling like, is it actually doing anything for them? Like, are they actually going to get more customers because of it? And maybe a little bit because, looking more a little bit more professional online, a little bit better authority, that definitely can help. But it was almost like, they just paid me thousands of dollars. Like, what is that going to do for their business? And so, there definitely is those indirect benefits, as I mentioned, but having, like, knowing that you're actually doing something, setting them up for success, and building these campaigns to actually help them, you're going to feel better about that, knowing that you're actually helping them grow their business.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk to a couple of points here on the why and stuff. So, Tim said pretty websites, fancy features, won't increase your client's revenue and stuff. And to a large extent, that's pretty true. I mean, I want to share a story. The first time that I met an online marketer, um, several years ago, I started building websites with WordPress in 2013, so about 7 years ago. And shortly thereafter, I was very much honed in on, man, how could I design and build the best looking website? And I look back on those first few customers and I think, man, what a crappy job I did for those people. I mean, I got them a website and I put it online, but I really had no understanding of really what the true value of a website is for. It's not just a placeholder and to look pretty. It's their company's business online, and it should be doing the same function that it's doing at their brick and mortar, which is generating revenue for them. So whether they offer services or sell products or whatever, that's what it needed to do. And I remember the first marketer that I met in person in real life, and we used to get into these battles about, crappy looking landing pages convert better than really good looking landing pages and stuff. And I liked things looking nice, and I didn't understand why we couldn't have both, make it look nice and convert and stuff. And this person who was a very successful online marketer who had already built a multi-million-dollar business and sold that business, they were far more successful online than I was at the time, and I just really didn't understand. But there's a lot of psychology that goes behind, fancy, pretty looking websites that distract people from actually doing what the task of whatever the page or website is.
David, I think you
I have
froze. Oh,
since discovered that, am I back, Tim?
yeah, it could be my internet. I don't know, but you froze for a second.
About all of that. But basically the point is that, fancy, pretty features don't always necessarily do the trick for a business. You really need to understand conversion and doing that stuff. Yeah, froze here too. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe we've got more Zoom people on here than we normally do, and I'm
Yeah.
hosting a call, so who knows.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and I love that. And so we actually got a question in the Zoom chat here from Nat. As a web designer, though, I don't know much about how to help with marketing. My own website is not found online either, and so that's a good point. You might be thinking, well, I've only learned web design. I've only learned how to build WordPress websites, build Divi websites, that sort of thing. And so um, now's a great time actually to invest in yourself. And we actually talked about this on Divi Chat a few days ago, basically figuring out how to level up and invest in yourself to make yourself more valuable for your clients. And so, what's that, David?
I'm smiling because I love that, Nat ended his, my own website is not found online either. LOL. Right. And that's the truth. I mean, um, yeah, I mean, it took a while for our websites to get found and stuff as well. But we do talk a lot about this on other podcasts and stuff. Content marketing is really important. One of the free live webinars that we did a few weeks ago was what you can be doing right now to help your own business. And if you're slow right now with work and you're quarantined and staying home, start producing valuable content right now, Nat. Start writing blog posts and putting them out there, not 100 in one day, write them. If you got time to write them and just start posting them on your site once a week or something, and get Google to start seeing you as an authority and stuff. And I guarantee if you do that, you're gonna pass your competitors and you're gonna be found and stuff. And then you're gonna understand truly how to help the businesses that you're building websites for in the long run. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about the why you should go above and beyond for your clients in terms of becoming their marketing consultant opposed to just building them websites. So now I want to talk about some ways that you can actually do that. So we'll put that under the how category.
Yeah.
So we've already kind of talked about this, but just to reiterate, a website that's designed to convert and not just a pretty design. Okay, that's a pretty straightforward example. And then along with that, and one thing I want to say before I add this next one here is it's not a lot of times people think, okay, you build the website, okay, that's the first step, and then later you can worry about getting traffic and the marketing side, whether that's paid ads, content marketing, that sort of thing. And that's one approach. However, to really go above and beyond for your clients, if you basically lay out a plan of, I'm not just going to build you a website, like we're going to do a whole campaign, right? We're going to do, the website's that central hub, and that is a key part of it. But from the start, we're going to design a campaign around that. And so from day one, we're going to know how we're going to plan on getting traffic to your site. And so here's some additional examples that can be part of that. Setting up email marketing campaign to re-engage past customers.
Yeah.
That's a huge one right now, considering everything going on with COVID-19 and stuff. And with David's example of the coffee shop being able to re-engage past customers and all of that. So that's an example there. Another important one is content marketing. And so we touched on that. And that's something that as David mentioned, we talked about on our last one of things that you can do is start content marketing for yourself, but then also for your clients as well, and build that into their overall marketing campaign, with the website being a key part of that.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, and I'm
then
gonna let you paste your last one there too, Tim, because it's a good one as well. And we haven't really talked to that one yet, but I think that that last one is one to be talked to as well. Helping them with localized paid ads. Give them a freebie, let them try it out, tell them, give them some information, and see if it helps their business. Facebook ads aren't going to help every business. Some areas do a whole lot better than other areas do. So I wouldn't hang my hat on the paid stuff, because it can be kind of risky for businesses if they're not dialed in properly, if those ads aren't honed in, and the search volume and the area of that they're serving, if there's not enough. So you kind of have to, strike a, be careful. Yeah, I see that, Nat. I saw it said my internet was unstable. Dang it. It must be people in my neighborhood that all the kids are home gaming, I
Yeah,
imagine,
exactly.
while I'm working.
Yeah, yeah. And on that note, Frank just asked a question here. What tools do you recommend for user acquisition and email marketing? So there's a lot out there. I use Mailchimp. I love Mailchimp. They've been around forever and they have the biggest market share. And for me, compared to other ones I've tested out, they have the best deliverability rates. And all of their newer, they revamped the platform a couple of years ago. Now all their tools in terms of segmenting and tagging and all of that is on par with
Yeah.
the competition out there. But they're not the only one. There's a lot, and so
Yeah. I
there's not
think,
really a
Tim,
right or wrong answer.
yeah, I think Mailchimp's the way to go, especially for small businesses that are starting out. Here's the reason why Mailchimp, besides the fact that they're number one, they integrate with WordPress very, very well. There's a tremendous amount of support in 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 the way of YouTube, ads, blog posts that show you how to use and manage Mailchimp. But the most important thing is Mailchimp's free for the first 2,000 email subscribers. If a business or small business has no email subscribers, it's going to take them a while to get to 2,000. So they're going to become a dang expert by the time they have a big email list, which is going to be really important. A lot of the other tools like ConvertKit, GetResponse, Active Campaign, all of these other email marketing platforms, they're paid. So they're going to be paying right out of the gate, as opposed to, Mailchimp, which is free and stuff right out of the gate. So I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben asked Mailchimp combined with G Suite. Well, G Suite is really just for the company email side of things. We do recommend G Suite, but it doesn't really play into the email marketing user acquisition side of things as much. But yeah, we do recommend a G Suite.
Yeah, I'm going to give another example. Now, this is kind of old, but I think it's applicable here. User acquisition is that's the number one, probably most important thing that a business owner is going to do for their business, even online, is going to capture the user via. Tim and I like email. The reason we like email marketing so much, I jokingly, but I am very serious when I say this. If I could send an email every hour, I would send an email every hour, because
It's
every time I
effective.
send an email blast out, sales go through the roof on our stores. So, um, you know, people may think, oh, it's past, email marketing's done. It's not. It's by far our best, um, you know, way to generate revenue for our businesses and stuff is still email marketing and stuff.
Yeah, and actually, we got a great question from Sione. Uh, she has a small business she's working with. It's been around for over 60 years, and she wants to know, how do you educate employers that there's value in email marketing? And so that's an excellent question. And so, I mean, David kind of answered it a little bit. We know from our own experience that it works. So I think you can kind of go from that angle of, there's a lot of data out there too, and research, from other big companies and stuff that point to email marketing still being extremely valuable in 2020. But I think it kind of goes into just like some core principles of marketing. They say that it takes 7 touch points on average from a prospective client or prospective customer to actually go and buy, right? And so that means they have to see you 7 times. That doesn't mean you send 7 emails. It means, like, on average, overall, 7 touch points. That could be email, it could be Facebook ads, it could be blog posts, whatever. And email is just a really, really great way to facilitate those touch points. And so once you're on their email list, you control it. So you can do paid ads, but guess what? The paid ad platforms, Google, Facebook, they're in control. And so you're always going to have to be at their mercy, and you can't control exactly who sees it and when. But with email, you do. You have the ultimate control. You own that traffic. A lot of marketers kind of break traffic into traffic that you own and traffic that you don't own and don't control. And so email marketing is one of the only sources of traffic that you actually do own, because you can send an email list and get traffic whenever you want. And so you basically control those touch points. And so, as David mentioned, you can't just go out and send an email every single day, even though we wish we could. But through email marketing, it basically puts you in the driver's seat to control those touch points and control that traffic. So
Yeah,
I would kind of use that as an example.
and we passively, I mean, we says my internet's unstable, so hopefully I'm not freezing right now. But we do use even the email marketing. You can passively generate revenue if you're putting out valuable content. Susie asked a very good question. She says, "Can you give an example of content marketing strategies?" Absolutely, 100%. So when we say valuable, relevant content, it's going to be what's valuable and relevant to the business. Okay. And it may be giving out, you want to think about the target audience, the avatar, the audience that you're trying to reach, your ideal customer. And let's just take a web designer, for example, since we're all web designers here, and we're probably building websites for clients. What kind of content marketing strategy can I employ to get small business owners over to my website, to get me noticed, to get me ranked with Google? Well, that's easy. Right now, especially in this pandemic, there is a ton of marketing topics that you can write about that's going to benefit small businesses. So the strategy is not to tell the world about how great of a web design shop you have. It's think about the end user who's going to read that article. So small businesses, they're your target demographic. There's who you want to go after. Give them some helpful advice about what you're doing right now. So, how your business can be found, 10 ways your business can be found right now in this global pandemic. How do I generate revenue? There's so many topics. If you give them practical advice and strategies of what they can do, because trust me, the small businesses right now are searching for that. How do I sell my products online? The 5 fastest and easiest ways to sell my stuff online today. If you come up and you use topics like that, people are going to be searching for those, and that's going to be valuable for them. So when you think about a content marketing strategy, think about the end user, think about the target audience that you want to capture. So if it's small businesses, to build websites for them, teach them how to become successful online. Start sharing your knowledge with them and stuff. Give them a content upgrade at the end. Um, you know, Sign up with your email address and get this PDF for our 5 steps, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
you're going to do really great stuff.
And that's one of my favorite strategies, combining content marketing with user acquisition right there. That's amazing. Ben asked a question, actually, Ben and Augustine, very similar questions. Ben asked in the chat here on Zoom, what type of quantitative data do you track for customers to show before and after results of your redesign marketing efforts for them? And Augustine asked a similar question about the tools. And that's a great question, because kind of the whole point of this webinar is going above and beyond to become your client's marketing consultant, and not just delivering a pretty website, but showing them how to actually grow their business, and designing a campaign around a new website or a redesign or whatever. And so that's a great question. Okay, how can you actually prove to them that what they just paid you to do is working? And so It really depends on the type of business. So, for example, if it is a restaurant, a lot of restaurants, we've been talking about them a lot, and they've decided that their main goal with this, new website or new campaign is to increase online ordering for curbside pickup or for delivery for whatever. Okay, well, you kind of tailor everything towards that. Well, that's all very easily trackable. If you launch a new online ordering system and then you're providing traffic, well, okay, you can prove to them via Google Analytics that the new ways that you're driving traffic are working. And then you can also show them that, hey, look at all these online orders that you're getting as a result of these efforts. So Google Analytics, for sure, you want that optimized depending on the type of website. So for example, an e-commerce website, you want to be able to have it set up to actually report the e-commerce data, the add to carts and the actual purchase data. And so you can use a plugin like, shoot, David, what's one you guys use on your site?
Oh God, which one?
I'm sorry, for Google Analytics,
Oh,
Saeed Belkis.
yeah. Oh, Opt-in Monster.
No, that's their
Let me see. I'm gonna
SaaS
go to my
solution.
site, Tim. Hold on a
Yeah,
second.
yeah. I'm totally blanking, but it's basically is it? Oh, it's Monster Insights. So
Monster Insights. I
you
knew it
got the
was
Monster
Monster
part right.
something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Monster Insights has the pro version that will integrate with like WooCommerce or Easy Digital Downloads, for example, and send the data to Google Analytics, and then you have to turn on in Google Analytics to see e-commerce data. So that's a great tool because then you can actually see the revenue inside of Google Analytics, and you can see where that traffic is coming from. And so you can basically provide your clients reports and showing them not just where the traffic is coming from, but where their sales are coming from. Again, that's
Yeah.
only if they're an e-commerce company, but you can do
Yeah.
something similar.
And you bring up a really good point because it's also going to help you to see where your break points are, to see where people are falling off in your funnel. You're going to be able to see, oh wow, we got X number of people got all the way up to here, but then they're falling off. The purchases aren't there. So it's going to help you also dial in the marketing aspect of it and stuff to try to improve your funnel and whatnot. And Tim's right. It totally depends on the type of business that you have and stuff are going to determine what tools you use to track that quantitative data, because a lot of companies that you guys probably are going after are going to be like service-based companies, well, they're probably going to be using CRMs if they're using a CRM, where they have a new customer and they put it in and they may have a sales force. And you know, CRMs these days will all connect with the website and stuff. So, I want to get phone calls. I want to get phone numbers. I want people. So you'll be able to track that data. And it just depends on what type of business it is. So I wish we could say one tool,
Yeah.
hey, go get this one and it's perfect, but there's
Yeah.
not. It's a ton of different tools.
Yeah, definitely. And Google Analytics, you can actually set up goals. So, as in the example David shared with leads in a service based business, you can set up Google Analytics to track that. And you set up custom events and goals and stuff like that. So you can see, through the progression and getting them to convert. And you're basically telling Google Analytics, this is what a conversion is. It's a new lead on the site. So, I mean, that's can get more advanced, and we're not going to have time to walk through setting up Google Analytics, but that's basically a big answer to these questions is dialing Google Analytics for the type of business and integrating it with the other tools that the company's using based off of what type of business they are.
Tim, I think we've blown way past our 15 minutes, my friend.
Yes, we have.
There is a question from Jay. He asked this very early on. We've been doing a lot of live streams lately that he's not been able to attend, but we're glad you're here today, Jay. That's freaking awesome. Are the recordings available anywhere? Absolutely. If you haven't signed up for our email list, which you probably did since you're on this webinar, um, you should receive a follow-up email that lets you know where the replays are, because we do send out follow-up emails with the replays of these free live webinars and stuff that we do. So be on the lookout for that. And they're on wpgears.com. You know what, Tim? We probably should link it, on the homepage or something for people to find it easy, because it's good, valuable content and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, uh, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, the whole goal is to teach and give value for 15 minutes, which we've gone way past that, as David mentioned. So this is we've followed the 98-2 rule: 98% free value, 2% sales pitch. So this is our Divi Business Expert course. We have some of our students here that have been inside the webinar here. So if you like the content and you want more, this is the type of teaching that David and I do in the Divi Business Expert course, where we have pre-recorded content and then we have live coaching calls with both topical as well as just general Q&A to ask any question you have. And so if you're interested, wpgears.com, check out the Divi Business Expert course. And we actually, for COVID-19, brought back our Black Friday discount of 50% off. So rather than $997, it's $497. And then we have the lowest payment plans possible too. So you can get started very inexpensively. We lowered the barriers. We want as many people to join as possible. So yeah, anything to add to that, David?
I think that's it. Bruce, I just now see this question that you asked here. What changes to the inner beyond after the corona slowdown, specifically for brick and mortar small businesses?
David, you're freezing.
Okay. How about now? Am I back?
You're back, but I don't think anyone heard the question.
You ask it then, Tim. Go ahead.
Really quick, we had some of our students in the course from our Divi Business Expert course. Michael Wright saying course is well worth it, folks. James says do it. It's good stuff. Well worth it. Thank you, guys. Frank mentioned I'm doing the course and it's super great. Thank you, Frank. And then Mr. Turvius asked, is this course connected to the one DiviSpace provides? So David is co-founder of DiviSpace, or co-owner. I'm owner of Divi Life. And so we basically, our partnership is WP Gears. And so it is put on by DiviSpace and Divi Life, to answer that question.
Yeah. So some Divi chat episodes. Damn it. Me and my freezing internet. I've been traveling and I'm usually on a really slow internet. I'm supposed to be on a fast one right now, so it's kind of crazy. Yes, the course is drip fed, Natalie. Bruce asked a question, what changes to the internet marketing landscape do you see coming in Q3, 4 and beyond after the corona slowdown? I think this is a very, very good question, specifically for brick and mortar small businesses. Obviously, we don't have crystal balls and we can't tell you the future. However, I do feel very strongly that Q3 and 4 are going to be really successful for web designers for a couple of reasons. We don't know what's going to happen with Corona. They're speculative that it's going to be like the flu and it's going to come back in the cold weather months. So in Q3 and 4, which is typically fall and winter here in the US, if you're south of the equator, then it's summertime there and you're going to be in the opposite. But for us here in the US and north of the equator, it's going to be wintertime and they think that Corona is going to come back. So will they close businesses down? Will they slow it down? Will there be social distancing? Probably something. We don't know what, but I guarantee you businesses are going to want to be prepared for this the next time. So I predict that, small businesses are going to be making a much bigger push to have their businesses online, generating revenue and money. So if you can help them, show them how to do that, it's going to be huge for your own business, because there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be afraid that they're going to get shut down again and they still need to keep the lights on and stuff.
Yeah. And I think this has been a big wake up call for a lot of businesses that have been ignoring internet marketing, have been ignoring their online presence, and they've been able to stay afloat just with kind of the old ways of doing things that have been around for a while. But this has been a big wake up call and they're like, shoot, I need to adapt. I know I've been putting off this new website. I know I've been putting off, marketing online and stuff. And so I think, as David mentioned, it's going to be a great time to be a web designer. And I also think if you take some of these strategies that we've talked about today, specifically about not just being a web designer, but being a marketing consultant too, you're going to really just have a successful Q3 and Q4 because these businesses are hungry and eager to be able to stand out and drive traffic through the internet. Because guess what? Like businesses are closed, but online businesses aren't. And so the businesses that have been able to adapt online in one way or another, not every business can be e-commerce, but finding a way to have a strong online presence and be able to sell online in some capacity, those are the businesses that are going to survive past 2020 because of what's happening.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Appreciate all the questions. We hope that you have learned something on this. We're going to be doing more. So remember to check it out. Jump on our email list. We're going to be doing some free live webinars pretty much weekly for the foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
come join us.
And really quick, Jennifer asked a question about our Divi Business Expert course. Is the course geared toward advanced web designers? I'm comfortable working with Divi and have built several small sites, but I'm not an advanced pro by any stretch. Michael, who's one of our students, did a beautiful job answering it. The course is focused on the business side rather than the technical side. So that's exactly right. We focus on what we, in our opinion, is the hard part, which is getting clients, streamlining your process, working efficiently and stuff like that. We do touch a little bit.
Sales.
Exactly. Sales. We do touch a little bit on the technical side, and we do get a lot of questions in our Q&A live coaching calls that are technical, and we want to be there for you to answer any question you have. But yeah, we focus on basically the side of things that you can't really learn with the free YouTube video, because you can learn how to, set up WordPress with a free YouTube video, but you're not going to find any free YouTube videos on how to land clients. So that's kind of the approach.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. And Tim, I think we're good, my friend.
Yes. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.